Raquel with her wonderful couch presence. And do you want to introduce yourself, Raquel?
Okay. Yes. Raquel Boris here. Hashtag couch presence. I never know how to introduce myself. It's like, I'm Chief Excitement Officer of True to You Branding. Rock the Boat YouTube channel. I'm a weirdo. There you go.
I like the weirdo. Definitely gives a little bit of a character add because it's definitely true. But you're in good company because I'm also a weirdo. So
you know what? I'm embracing it. For the longest time, like I thought, oh man, what does that mean? And now I'm like, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing to be strange, and it's like I guess it's synonymous kind of like to unique, and I consider myself a fairly unique person. I think that you are a unique person.
Thank you.
And it's always nice to be around like unique people, especially because it's just like whenever you're showing up as your authentic self, I think is the most important part.
Yeah.
It's like something that we've talked a lot about, like as a collective, I feel like, and something that, I hear you talk about a lot, I talk about a lot, but we're like in our conversation last night, we were talking about the difference between like talking about being authentic and just like genuinely being authentic.
It's funny that you just mentioned that because I was having a conversation with Michael Paterano this morning, and I feel badly because I kind of sounded like a bitch, but at the same time, like I was just getting frustrated, and I told him, I said, I'm getting frustrated with people talking about authenticity and not actually just doing it. Like, just be an example. Like, you have too many people are like, in order to be your authentic self, you need to do this. I'm like, stop telling us what to do. Just if you can be just yourself, just in general, like people, they'll follow it much better than you trying to tell people how to be authentic. And once again, I might piss people off by saying that because there are a lot of people out there doing it. And I've been guilty of doing that. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to like talk it. I'm just going to walk it.
Absolutely. Wow, we've already got people popping up. So
hey, Jairus and Bernard, Chris, and Anna Maria, all the way from España.
Wonderful. Yes, Brian's.
Brian. Yes.
Wow, we're already talking about your couch presence and things like that. Loving it. But yeah, I definitely agree. Like, just be you. That is the most important thing. And I think in giving good grace to even those people, like, I think it's kind of, that's them trying. That's how we try to show up and be ourselves, by like talking about these things. And sometimes it's like so nerve-wracking to actually just do it, or maybe people don't authentically really know yet who they actually are. And so the idea of like talking about normalizing authenticity makes it like, okay, then I can, once I figure it out, then I can kind of do it. But it's like,
and I mean, and you're young, like, because how old are you?
I'm very young. I'm 24.
Yeah, see, you're babies, and I'm almost twice your age, right? So me sitting here talking about this, it was a long journey for me to get to even to this place. So for me to sit here and it's not that I'm judging, it's just I have an opinion about it. Now that I'm 45, it's almost like I don't give a crap. It's as you get older, you'll find that like you just kind of like, I'm just going to say something. And so sometimes I do come across as like having no tact. My ex-husband makes fun of me all the time. He's like, you have no tact. I'm like, it's not that I don't have any tact. I'm in a place where I'm just honest. And sometimes it might sound a little harsh, but I'm tired of like holding myself back in certain ways.
Yeah. And that's something that we're definitely going to talk about tonight, right? Is like the criticism that other people project on us and the labels that they sort of push upon us, whether they realize it or not. And it's actually really harmful. Like, whether you choose to hang on to it or not, it can be harmful. And shout out to your tact.
Not attack.
And also, yes, the party is officially started now that Carl's here. So thank God.
Oh yes, I'm gonna be on his live tomorrow. It's so funny because he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, is it okay if Michael, P is on the show too?" And I said, "Absolutely." And then Michael calls me. He's like, "Is it okay if I crash your live?" I'm like, "Dude, the more the merrier. Like, it's okay." I was like, I can share the spotlight. Once again, it's like, here I was just telling you how, and my ex-husband and I are connected on LinkedIn, but he doesn't watch any of this stuff. But, a couple nights ago, he said I was a unique narcissist. So, he was like, "You're a narcissist, your family's they're all narcissists. You grew up in all that stuff." And just the way he said it, though, he's like, you're a unique one because you're using your narcissism or the fact that you want attention or you like it for others. Like you're using it to help others. But yeah, like you said, it can be harmful in the sense that I sat there and I thought, oh my gosh, am I really a narcissist? Like, is this something that I really have to like look at inward? And then I thought, no, I'm not. I really am not. I really truly don't believe that I am. But then, it's hard to like sit there and think, well, this was my ex-husband. He's known me since I was 21, 22. We have 2 kids together, all of those things. Like he knows me so well. But then at the same time, it's like, but I've changed so much and I am kind of a different person than when he married. So do I like feed into that? Right. So
yes.
Or like having OCD or being the fact that I'm really clean. I like things organized. I was telling this somebody the other day too, where like, I don't need to be labeled as someone that has OCD. It's more of like, you know what? I like things a certain way. It's part of my personality. It's part of my character. It's part of like my makeup as a human is to like things orderly and in a certain way. It doesn't make me like I don't have a disorder. I truly believe I have one. Like, I just believe that I like things a certain way. Does that make me a horrible person?
That's true. And that's the stigmas and the taboos that go along with like being classified as something. And I think a lot of the time it's, this is an interesting and unique scenario because you're talking about a person that like you have a complex relationship with from like a family level and in everyday life, like you're talking to this person a lot. And I'm sure that everyone in the chat like can probably relate to this in one way or another, because I feel like we all have people in our lives who kind of let's see, the infamous LinkedIn user says, at least you're a unique
narcissist he's ever met in his life. So I thought, wow, well, that's right there is pretty cool.
Exactly.
Like, all right.
Yeah, no, but it's totally backhanded. And that's exactly what I said last night once we were talking. It's like, it was like, almost you're trying to make it into a compliment, but what you're really doing is trying to belittle me. What you're telling me is something that makes me less than, and that doesn't feel good. Like, it's very dehumanizing, and no matter where it's coming from, it's something that's like, can we just cut the shit? Can we stop that? Like, as a collective, as a whole, can we just stop doing that? Because it's really, really harmful. And, I love the way you described how it made you kind of like spiral a little bit and ask yourself like, wait, what? No, but he's not.
I mean, I literally Googled narcissist because like, I know what a narcissist is, but I was like, I wonder if I really like, if you go into the books and the disorder and all that, I was like, I want to know if I check all the marks on there. Right. And it was weird because I was like, I don't think I check off any of these that describe what a narcissist is. So it was especially the one where it was like, you have no empathy towards one another or to other people. I'm thinking like, no, that's the opposite. I'm like way too empathetic. That's like the problem. I go, if I were a true narcissist, I wouldn't have given a shit what he said. But the fact that I did, I really, it hit me hard in that moment. And most narcissists wouldn't have cared, right?
But that's the thing is like, even having to ask yourself, like, even like literally even having to ask yourself, wait, what would a narcissist do? And then I'm going to compare myself to that person so I can see where I fall in relation to it. That's what I want to scrap altogether.
Right.
Like, and I think it's like I'm young, but that doesn't mean I don't have like certain levels of wisdom that my enlightenment has brought me. And like one of the things that I have been awakened to is the truth in that comparison is absolutely the thief of joy. And it doesn't matter where we are comparing, whether we're trying to compare it to be better or worse, or try to figure out where we lie. If it's in relation to anything or anyone else, it's just sucks the joy. Like it totally does. So it's like next time this happens in whatever way, because like Carl says, isn't it funny how these things come out when we're not together? Like, yeah, these things are revealing.
I know he's now like, your family's crazy, you're the, this is what, like all these things that I'm like, okay, now you share those things. But what's funny is that I wanted to turn around and be like, but yet you still fell in love with me and you married me and you had 2 children with me, but yet like this is all the things
but that's the thing, is like, even that, it takes away from your power, because if we do that, then what you're doing is resorting to the same kind of energy, and then you're involving yourself in an energy exchange with him. And even if you're thinking that thought, it's still involving the energy exchange. And there's no shame in sharing that. I'm glad you shared that. Like, that's a fair thing to have shared. And it's not it doesn't make you anything, but there are ways. And like, if you just entertain me, like,
okay, I'll entertain you.
And anyone in the chat or watching, like, you can utilize this practice too whenever you feel like someone's projecting something at you or criticizing you and you're like, is that true? Like, is this real about me? This is what we can do. Take 3 deep breaths into your diaphragm, not into your lungs, because that can actually trigger us into our diaphragm. So are you doing with me? Yeah, you are. And then releasing any of the judgments that were projected at us at all in a moment. And tapping into like, who is my highest self? Like, who am I really? And then asking, just open-ended in a dialogical way, like, do I resonate with what is being said about me? Do I feel like that actually is true to who I am? And in that moment, it will reveal itself. And that is all you need to know. Like, you don't have to ask at all.
No, and that's what I did when I left, because that happens too. My kids and him, like, they really, it's amazing how I leave that household and I feel this big, right? Because they make fun of me. Mom, you're this, you're that. We don't want to hear it. You're so, we don't care, all those things. And so I've gotten so much better where I leave and I just kind of like have to brush it off and I let it go, because it just affected me for so many years. I can't tell you until just this year where I was like, you know what? I'm going to trust myself, and I'm trusting that I am a good person. What I'm doing is, a good thing, and I'm following my heart, and I have to stop, with these labels. And like, I think Jen Sahari had said earlier, it's like we feed into these labels, and we, like you said, we have to stop labeling each other. Just because, I liked attention doesn't mean I'm a narcissist. Just because I like to, clean doesn't mean I'm OCD. Just because I'm a little wacky doesn't mean I'm a crazy person. All those things. Like, yeah, we're just so quick to label. So, because I guess that's just how our way of, I don't know, as a society, be able to relate to people. I don't know what it is. Like, why are we so quick to label? Like, what is it about us that we have to like do that? Is it for us to better understand? I
think everyone like thinks that we're supposed to have an answer to everything. And it's like really uncomfortable to not know and to not have an answer. But the reality is, like, a little secret is like, most things are an enigma. Like, we don't really know anything for certain. In fact, like, I always like to say the only thing that I know for certain is that I know nothing at all for certain.
Yeah.
It's like, if we, all right, I always am very skeptical of the person who is pointing any finger and being like, you're this, you're that, you're this. You should do less of this. You should do more.
I dated a guy that called me overt narcissist, and I read, and I was like, wait, that's him. Like he was definitely like And so in that moment, I was like, all right, he's deflecting and all of that. But yeah, I'm trying to practice the same thing and not label others and not be so quick to, when I describe someone, describe them more with, adjectives that I don't want to say pretty, but there are some not pretty adjectives that I want to describe.
You know what I found is like a really helpful rule there is that I always ask myself before I speak at all, is this going to empower myself or the other person? And if it doesn't, I just don't say it. Like,
well, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all, right? Exactly. But unfortunately, we're like, society is like doing the opposite. If you have nothing to say or not saying nothing nice to say it.
Type it all over the internet.
All over the internet, and use it behind an anonymous, person so that they don't know who you are. And so it's when we label somebody, we feel we can control it because we know what it is. Okay, that makes sense. Suha. I think this is the first time Suha's actually showed up on a live that I've been on. Oh my gosh, I feel like incredibly honored. Like seriously, this is awesome.
That's awesome. This is really awesome. Well, here she is.
Yay.
And she's saying, pay attention and listen.
I know Brian's probably doing stuff right now. Reggie. I don't think Reggie's on yet.
No, I saw him. He was talking about
he's like, this is going to be epic. But yeah, I don't see where he is. Where are you, Boo?
Maybe he disappeared on
Boo Bear.
It looks like we got some insight here too. What's this say? A narcissist lacks the connection to who they really are. Many emotions simply don't register in them, so they feed off of others, devouring identity by dethroning others' self-worth. That's like poetic.
Yeah, but someone says that it does get thrown. I think he also said it gets thrown around a lot. And I think it does. Once again, it's like, it's those buzzwords, and then some like imposter syndrome, right? Everyone has imposter syndrome. If they felt themselves are an imposter syndrome, or they compare to others like they have it. And I'm like, really?
And Jen says,
it's just natural. It's human nature to kind of compare yourself.
Exactly. Only like something like 5% of the population are clinically diagnosed as a narcissist. Definitely. Although psychopaths walk among us, let me say. They do. And Reggie is making himself known. He is here.
Oh, I'm here. Hey, Boo Bear.
He was laying low because he's not a narcissist, right?
Exactly. He's not. Nobody in let's like engage or anything. None of them are.
Snaps for Reggie and snaps for everybody. Snaps for everybody.
Aww.
But yes, no, it feels good to talk about these things though, doesn't it? And
yeah, because I used to just not talk about those things a lot because I didn't like to feel vulnerable at all. And now I've totally embraced what it feels like to be vulnerable, and I'm not as scared of it. Doesn't give me an anxiety attack like it used to before. It used to give me such anxiety. And now it's kind of like, oh, well, like even if my ex like happened to hear this and got a hold of it, like I would be honest with him and be like, dude, that's how I felt in the moment. And I wanted to share it. And I mean, he gets that I'm very open. And I talk a lot about, my personal stuff. Not everything, but a lot of it. And I don't know. I just feel that if it can help someone else kind of
absolutely
feel like they're not alone, or, I think a lot of times too, a lot of us can kind of come across as we have our shit together. Like apparently I come across as someone that happens to have their shit together or very, all that, but I really don't. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. And so if I share those things every now and then just to be like, hey,
absolutely,
I go through shit as well. And, like there's, yeah.
I know I've experienced challenges in like close relationships with people about specifically that also, like through my art and in context to my art, because I'm very honest. Like I'm not going to hide anything, and in art you can do that really well. If you look at portraits throughout history, you can see that they were hiding some shit, even though they
Yeah.
some of them, like, you're like, there's a lot of incest going on here. I can see it on the face, but like, I'm talking like royalty portraits. But, you know, you can see like the ways that art has been used to kind of mask the reality of a situation. And
the couples where, like, you know, the guy, the husband has his hand on the shoulder and she's sitting there and it's like, look lovingly, like you guys love each other, when we all know, like, now we see all the movies of like the real stuff that he was having a, you know, torturous affair with someone, or she was having a torturous affair, or they had whatever, this and that. But in that moment, it's like, you're perfect couple.
Exactly. And it's really,
and it still happens with social media.
Yeah, now we have the modern version of it. Right.
A perfect family. And then, you know, those are the ones, let's be honest with this one too. It's the ones that really put it out there that it looks perfect. Those are usually the ones that are like
torn up
behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's torn. It's like totally torn up. We have a question for you.
Yeah, I did go to another department. Yes. Brian and Reggie say that I live in a Macy's department store because my home is very like put together and it looks, you know, like a staged home. So then they joke around that it's a Macy's department store.
That is hilarious. Yes. I'm also laughing. That's pretty funny. Oh, pretty funny. Let's see what's the same. Know your place in life, know your mission, passion, and purpose. Absolutely. That's actually a good question to ask. So what do you know what your purpose is in life? And then what is your mission and passion?
So I feel like 2020 brought a lot of clarity, and Suha, she sent me this beautiful gold cuff where on the outside it had my 2021 word, which is impact, and then inside it had clarity. So I feel that I finally have realized that, you know, I've always been a helper and a healer. I've always had that like innate ability. My dad's a doctor. You know, I've always kind of felt like I'd make a really good therapist, all of those things, but I suck at school. Like when it comes to academics, I'm not the best. So for me to go back to school to become a psychologist is just not going to happen. So the way I'm doing it, and I also just love children. I have always loved kids. Even when I was younger, I also thought I wanted to be a teacher. And then I thought, okay, special ed teacher. So now I feel like with the YouTube channel that I started about 2-3 months ago, I feel like I'm putting all my passions into one. I love kids. I love to help, like be, you know, someone to give permission, that space for people to be themselves. Like, I love that. And then I love to talk.
Well, you're in great company.
I will own up to the fact that, yes, I do love to talk. And so all of those things, I feel like I'm able to do that with the channel. And I finally feel like I've found it. And what's really cool is something that's come about with all of this is that a lot of the parents too are feeling really empowered as a parent, because what's happening is when I'm having these conversations with these kids, they're having a conversation with someone they've never met, a like complete stranger, that a lot of the times the kids don't know who I am until I'm like on Zoom and I hit record. And these parents are loving and they're so proud of their kids because they're seeing their kids interact with a stranger. They're seeing that they're being very respectful. They're seeing that they're being very engaging, that they're themselves, that they feel like they can kind of, you know, open up. And so as a parent, when you see your child do that, you're like, wow, like my kid freaking is awesome, right? And so I love that too, because in turn, then it opens up their eyes to a different kid that maybe they didn't get to see.
Yeah.
And so that part of it, I didn't expect to come out of it. Like I didn't even think about that. And so that's been great. And then it's also really made me reflect how I am as a parent, how I'm showing up to my own kids.
Yeah.
Just because I'm giving all this, you know, permission and space for these other kids to be themselves and to open up and to talk to me. And I'm really attentive and I'm really like engaged in what they're having to say, I'm like, I got to be doing the same thing for my kids. And so I think it's also helped me just become a better parent. And it's never too late, folks. My son's going to be 20 in less than a month, and my daughter's 16, and I'm still I'm a work in progress as a parent, right? Like, there's still things that I can learn. Like, I truly believe just because your kids are at a certain age doesn't mean that it's like you're done, or that you there's no remorse, like no not remorse. I can't even think of the word where you have to like just give up on them, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not the case. Just because my kids are on the internet or on their phones all day long doesn't mean that I can't still have really open dialogue with them and talk about really deep stuff, because I do, like, especially my daughter, like, she's very open with me. And so yeah, like, there's so much that I'm learning from these kids and just learning about myself. And yeah, Suha, like, I'm very intentional now about what I do and how I show up to the world.
That's amazing. Yeah. And the more that you do it, the closer in line you're going to become with that purpose, and figuring out like the one statement that's just like really hits home. And then all of these channels of communication, whether it's your YouTube channel or just a day-to-day regular conversation at the grocery store, or you looking in your own reflection even, or your conversations with your kids, like, the purpose will become more and more revealed. And that's a beautiful thing. And it sounds like your experience of just like meeting yourself exactly where you're at right now is something that's so special. And that's like one of the biggest acts of grace I think that we can give ourselves, is just like being really self-aware of like where you actually are. Because once you realize that, we can meet ourselves there. And then that's where all of this like possibility opens up, and it'll take everyone very, very far. And it's so cool to see, like, in the chat, people are sharing too. Everyone in the chat, if you know what your purpose is, share it too.
Yeah, and then we're giving our children credit. Yeah, and I want to share like a story that happened to me last year, and it was a real learning lesson, because once, like, I had to apologize to my own kids and basically like admit my faults and my insecurities to my kids. And I think as adults and as parents, we feel like we have to come across as like perfect and we have everything, we know everything, right? Because God forbid if we don't, then our kids are gonna, I don't know why we do that, right? Like, let's admit it. We've all done drugs. We've all had alcohol. We've all we've done stupid stuff. Like, we all have done it. But it's funny how as parents, like, we can't, it's like so many parents can't tell their kids because then they think they're giving their kids permission to do that. And it's like, no, it's just, you're showing your kids that you're not perfect, and life like is not perfect, and it's not easy, and that's okay. So for instance, last year on Mother's Day, I will tell you this, I've been divorced for 10 years. And every Mother's Day since I got divorced has been like awful for me, because first of all, my kids live with my ex. So before, I would like pick them up if they weren't with me. And I got a ticket the first day, the first Mother's Day, I went to go pick them up. They wanted to go to Dunkin' Donuts, and they're young, they're in their car, in the back. And I get pulled over by a female on Mother's Day because I turned on a red. Like, and I swear to you, anyways, that was like my first stint of Mother's Day as a divorcee. But so every Mother's Day, I was that person. I'm going to admit that I would like see what everybody else was doing. I'd get on the internet, social media, and my kids are not affectionate kids. They're not, they're not big on like talking, saying nice things. And they're wonderful. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. They're wonderful kids. They're loving kids, but that's just not who they are.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't get like I wouldn't get Mother's Day cards. I wouldn't really get anything, like none of that. And so I always like felt sorry for myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is awful. Like, all of that. And so every year it was the same thing. And my kids finally got fed up with it. And last year, my son was like, listen, Mom, we'll come and we'll bring you coffee or whatever. And I think I made some snarky comment, which is so, bad. I made a snarky comment like, oh, well, can you at least bring it like when it's before noon or before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something to that effect, because they wake up late. And my son was like, you know what, Mom, it's the same thing with you every Mother's Day. Like, wow, all this stuff. Like, and he was just sick of it. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm the one that's making it awful. So they ended up coming over, and this was last Mother's Day. So they come over, they brought me a coffee, they brought me some cake. And once again, I'm on social media, I'm looking what everybody's getting. And finally I was just like, what the F are you doing, Raquel? Like, you are projecting all of this onto your kids when they're just doing the best that they can. And
Yes.
so I turned to my kids, because we were sitting talking. My son was having a great conversation with me. My daughter was. And in that moment, I'm like, this is what it's about. And as long as my kids and know that I love them and that I know that they love me, like, who gives a shit what other people think? Like, I don't need to be posting on social media what my kids got me, or I got breakfast in bed, or all that stuff. And I'm not dismissing for those that do have that, and that's great. But
comparison is the thief of joy. Yes.
So I was sitting here like comparing myself. So finally I turned to my kids and I said, I have to apologize to you guys. And they're like, what, Mom? I said, you know what? I'm like, my insecurities, all this stupid shit that I'm like putting, that I'm dealing with, like I'm putting it on you guys. And that's not fair. That's not fair at all. You guys are here. We're together. We're having a beautiful conversation. You love me. And that's enough. It's more than enough. I'm like, I'm setting some high expectation, and that's just not cool. And yes. I'm really sorry. And like, I got a little teary-eyed with them. And I said, I just want you to know that I love you. And that from this moment on, I'm not going to make you feel guilty about this. Like, it's just not cool. And they're like, okay, Mom, they're like, that's cool. And it was great, because they took my apology and was great, and moving on. And that was it. And I know, and then the next mother, because maybe this was I don't even know, because of quarantine. When was Mother's Day? I don't remember. But either way, like.
In May?
Yeah, I know, but I don't even remember what Mother's Day was like last year, because it was during quarantine. I can't even remember. But either way, the point is that, I can be age 45 and still learn and still change, and it's okay. Like, me admitting to my kids that I'm still like sucking at certain things is okay. They're not going to look at me like any less. If anything, I think in that moment they respected me more, because
absolutely,
I apologized to them and
for the truth. Vulnerable. Yes, you realized that, like Usama said, that comparison is the central core of repelling our blessings. And
yes, exactly. I love that. I was sitting there like comparing myself to mothers that were getting breakfast in bed and flowers and the brunches and all this stuff. And for whatever reason, it made me feel like I was an inadequate mother. And I'm like, I'm not inadequate at all. Like, right. I am a good mom, and my kids love me and I love them. I said, so why am I sitting here thinking that I'm less than? Because they didn't give me something material wise. Like, that was so stupid.
It goes really, really deep. Like, it goes deeper than just Mother's Day and the gifts and the comparing and the expectations, which also expectations are the seed of resentment.
Yes, I was resenting my kids, and my kids were feeling that. Like, how awful is that they were like, Mom?
But it goes so deep that it's actually, there's something underlying within that, and it's not just you, and it's not just this one instance. It's as a society, like, we operate out of scarcity. Mm-hmm. We believe that the world doesn't have enough resources for us to survive. We believe we never have enough money. We believe that, our education is not going to be enough, or that the income that we're going to make at this job is not going to be enough. So we have to have the side hustle. And all of these ideas of not enoughness are really, they repel all of our blessings, because it prevents us from seeing the things that are right around us mm-hmm. right now. And the truth is that we actually have enough of everything to solve all of those problems. And instead of hoarding these resources or these moments to cling to them to make it all enough one day, if we just realized that what we have at our disposal right now, no matter how small, is actually exactly enough
Mm-hmm.
for us to be able to create sustainability and longevity, then we would be awakened to realizing the actual like capital T truth,
Yeah.
which is that as individuals, we are absolutely enough with all of our shortcomings and flaws and mistakes and everything that makes us imperfect. We're still enough. And as a world, we have enough right now to be able to come together as a collective and change the ideas from scarcity to abundance, and realizing that that's something that already is sustainable. Like we don't have to create this endless race toward sustainability out of scarcity, because if we don't, then we'll all explode. It's like right now we have everything we need to figure it out. We just have to come together and be appreciative and actually like take on the responsibility to care for ourselves first and care for each other at the same time, without necessarily needing to get mine first before I could take care of you. Like, and I pull it away from like the one isolated instance of like the Mother's Day thing, although it's the perfect example to bring up this conversation, because it's actually so much more universal than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's something fundamental within us that we, you know, I don't think it was set out to be like, okay, now everyone believe everything is scarce, but there's writings and teachings that like deliberately have taught us narratives of that being true, and it's actually a myth. So it really pulls into like the way that we interact with one another. And yes, abundance and gratitude is personal freedom. Like being grateful and having gratitude for like what actually was happening, which is like you have kids on Mother's Day, and they were there.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and here I was focused on like stuff that really, at the end of the day, did not matter. I mean, and I remember my daughter. That was another thing too. My daughter had, before they had come over, she sent me this beautiful text, and I screenshot it because with my little OCD, I delete my text every single night, folks. Like every single thread, every night. I don't know, it's part of it, but. So I screenshot it, and she was like, the things that she said was so beautiful. Like, I wish I could read it. If I'll try to find it, but it was just one of those things where in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like the luckiest mom in the world. So that's why I felt like such a shitty person, because I was just focusing on the wrong things. And so that was where, but it's tough, like as a parent, to admit that you're wrong and to admit like that your kids are wrong. I mean, that is a tough thing. That is like for real. You know, and there's been a couple times where I have apologized to my kids, and in that moment, it feels awful to be like, you guys are right. I'm the one that sucks. But it needs to happen. Like our kids need to know that we're also trying to figure, you know, stuff out as well. And it's okay. Once again, like we're teaching our kids that there's going to be kind of a struggle and life's not perfect, so that when they do fail, they don't suddenly get into a state of depression, or if they're not perfect, they don't go into a state of depression, or if they don't, you know, and I think that's the problem too, is a lot of these kids are suffering because they are seeing us judge other people, trying to be perfect, all of those things. And then when they realize that they're not, they're like, well, shit, then you know what? Like I suck at life. And that's what happened with me as a teenager. I thought I wasn't living life right, because I thought life was supposed to be easy. And when it wasn't easy for me, I'm like, I'm doing life wrong. And then that's like put me kind of in a state of depression too, because when you feel like, you know, that you are effing up all the time, like we all F up all the time.
Yes, but you know, I want to challenge that too, because it's not even that you weren't effing up, and it doesn't mean you suck. It just means you're learning, and that shifting it from back into gratitude, it's like you're grateful for being presented with that, because it's making you stronger and it's making you a better parent. And it's also setting the example that when you screw up, it doesn't mean you suck. And so that's what they're going to hold on to. It doesn't matter what you tell them. It matters what they see you tell yourself.
Yeah. Well, they see how you act and all of those things. So like, so I found the text. And so this is what she said. She goes, "Happy Mother's Day, Mama. I know most of the time I give you a hard time, but I'm really grateful for you and so lucky that you're my mom. You work so hard and you really are a role model to me and inspire me every day. Even though it may not seem like I care, your accomplishments and achievements never go unnoticed. I'm so proud of you and everything you are doing. You are my rock. I'm sorry for being so stubborn and hard to deal with. I guess it's just my teenager phase, but just know that I love you so much. Thank you for helping me with everything, especially with all my mental health stuff. You really are the gift that keeps on giving. Never stop being your quirky self and always making people smile and happy. I love you so much, and I'll see you later." And it still just gets me every time. Sorry.
Sweet. No, that's sweet.
I hadn't read that in a really long time. So reading it right now was just. Why do I always end up crying on these lives? It's like, and I'm not a crier. That's what's so funny.
Well, you felt
a crier, but I'm not.
Let's see. This is the perfect moment to see some of the things people have chimed in to say, because there's some really good nuggets here. A clenched fist can't receive blessings. We've got to open our hands and release the very thing we can't do without. I mean,
I love it. Give Vision some hugs and kisses, her doggy. Oh my God. Okay, now I'm like,
we don't rise by repeating the past. We rise by learning from our mistakes and becoming better every other day, or each day even. And no, it's not easy, but it's worth it. That's what I've got to say back to that. It's never easy, and I never would claim that that's easy. It's not. But the point being is that gratitude attracts abundance. And it becomes easier the more that we practice it, because the more we put gratitude into practice, the more abundance comes our way. So it becomes easier. And yes, the Mother's Day text, everyone's crying.
Yeah, but see that, like, I mean, if you think about it, that's even more special than any like flower, and like, you know what I mean? And so that's why I just rereading it, it just reminds me of how, lame I was in that moment.
Okay, because you're growing, you're still a growing person, and I think that's the best example that you could set, is that like when you turn into adulthood, like it doesn't mean that you it's an unfair expectation to have everything together or that life is easy. That's a very unfair expectation that we tend to expect of ourselves and others. And so it's definitely not true. And I agree. You don't suck though. You're just a human. Caught up in our spinning wheels.
We do get caught up in our spinning wheels, man. That little wheel.
Absolutely. Wow. So many sweet messages. Like I'm gonna have to go back and look back at all of these.
No, I have to too.
Yes. You need to start a gratitude journal.
Yeah.
I am all about gratitude. Like my book's not out, so it's not available for purchase yet, but because I'm still adding to it, I realized the story's not quite resolved. But I have written and illustrated a book that is it's called Thank You, Damn It. And
I love that. That's so good.
Because it's about radical gratitude. It's not just about gratitude when it's easy. It's about gratitude when it's hard. It's about gratitude whenever you are I guess I can't even say you. Like I'll just share some of my experiences, because it's through my lens, but also it's about the whole world and about healing the world, and on a quantum level, like really separate from just like the way we talk to each other on social media, but like I'm talking like the world needs to be healed. And I've experienced some really difficult things. Like whenever I was 20, my mom had a psychotic break, and it was just me and her. alone. She and I were going to visit like where I was going to be an intern at the Dali Museum in St. Pete. And we got there and we were, traveling together, and it was supposed to be like a girls trip, and we were there, and like her mental health was declining rapidly to a point where like she did not know who she was. She did not know who I was. It was scary. Like that's the only way to say it. But at the same time, like, and I'm not saying like I took that like a saint or anything. I didn't. I was freaking out. Like I was scared and it was traumatic, and I have dealt with it in a lot of different ways. But I've still found like, and in those moments, all I was trying to do was like find gratitude for what was happening. And I know it sounds so crazy and backwards, but it's like it heals so immediately. And so I say these things, and I don't say it out of like a tone deaf way. Like I realize how difficult life can be, and I can imagine like how hard parenting can be. But like, being on the other end of that and seeing how difficult things can get once things have declined to a certain level, like being able to pull into the abundance and just realizing like resorting to the very basics of like, I am breathing. I am grateful I am breathing. I am grateful I'm alive. I am grateful that I am being challenged and tested right now. And I'm grateful to not have any answers. And, just like trying to walk in that light, like it is the answer here. And it's how we are able to heal from anything, like really literally anything. And I just wanted to share that because it's like, that's a truth, and it's just one little experience and in the notch of the belt, but it's the
You're
truth.
24, so you're going to have a lot more experiences.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just the fact that you are you're so self-aware, so intelligent. Oh my gosh. Like I just am trying to compare myself at age 24. I was getting married, pregnant. Like it's such a different.
No, don't compare it because we're
I know. I'm not comparing, but I'm just remembering like, and you are just like, I'm not comparing and like, I mean, I can't go back and be 24 again anyway. So what's the point, right? And I don't want to, but oh my goodness, just listening to you, Karina, like, oh my gosh, like you are going to be a force. You're already a force, but I can only imagine like even more of a freaking force and impact. And like, I just feel so like honored and humbled to like have gotten to cross paths with you and know you. No, seriously, like this is what's so cool about social media. Like this is one great thing about it, is that you do get to meet some just extraordinary human beings, and it just gives me hope. Like just talking to you and then to the kids that I'm talking to, like we really can be okay.
And it's actually really, I remember having that moment of realization. And first of all, let me just say thank you for saying what you just said. And I completely agree and feel mutually that I'm honored. And the more I have these kinds of conversations and connect with people like this, the more I realize that like it's a special gift of this time. And social media can be a place where we compare ourselves, but it also can be a place where we connect really deeply. Yeah. It's about what you're feeding. So I felt both. Like I took a hiatus from social media for 9 months in 2019, and because I was in that mindset, but then I came back with this mindset, and the ways I've healed, the ways I've connected, it's like there's nothing that compares to it, really. And I remember having the realization of just like operating in abundance and getting used to that and operating in abundance, and just like looking at myself, and I started like dancing around my apartment, and I was just like, this is sustainable. Like I can live like this. I can be well.
Yeah.
Like, instead
funny, like you dancing around, like that's how powerful music is too. Because when I listen to my favorite music and I'm dancing around, I feel invincible in that moment, right? Like I feel like, yeah, this is sustainable. If I can feel this way all the time when I'm listening to music and dancing around, like life is good.
Absolutely. And yes, I agree that this is a place where amazing women are connecting right now, and everyone in the comments is just like adding and adding and adding to
And
this.
it's so funny too. It's so interesting how it all kind of like unravels like pretty quickly, right? Because I knew that you and I connected, but I didn't know anything about you. Like you weren't on my feed, like you just weren't on my radar. And it just, sometimes it just works that way. And then Reggie was like, I'm going to be on this girl Karina's live. And he's like, I would love for you guys to watch. And I'm like, okay, who's this Karina chick? And I'm like, oh, well, we're connected. And then we were all like chiming in the comments. And then Reggie's like, you have to connect with Raquel. You have to connect with Brian and Nancy and all these people. And it's funny how now like our little like community of people that are amazing, awesome, freaking like just incredible. It's like we're expanding little by little with more and more like-minded folks and more people that are like in that. And I love that how it's organically expanding in this beautiful, magical way.
Literally, and I
to see.
So welcomed. Like I've said that, and I will keep saying it because yes, I feel very welcomed. And Reggie had a similar like anecdote when he came on my live of like, okay, yeah, this girl Karina wants me on her live. Don't know who
he was like, I don't know why she wants me on her live. She's an artist. She's like, like, I don't know, Reggie, like just go and see what happens, like you never know. He's like, absolutely. But it was just it was just really funny because like here I was just like, who is this Karina chick? And then now we're on live, crying.
Exactly. No, literally, and people in the comments were like, I'm crying too, so you're not alone. I'm alone too, so. Yes, I mean that's the thing is like it's not about the fact that I'm an artist or even putting myself first. Like, I mean, yes, in the sense of like I can only pour from a full cup, but I want to connect with people. Like we were talking about purpose and mission earlier. My passion is art, and that is my way to.
You're incredibly talented. Like I want to see more of your stuff, by the way.
You will. I've been like trying to I don't really know what I was about to say. I've been like
you're talking about your purpose. I mean that your art and so forth.
And that's what I'm trying to kind of align with deeper because it's like there are different facets to it. So it's like my passion is the arts, and I'm passionate about my passion is passion. Let me just say, I'm like a very passionate person.
I'm very passionate about passion. You can be passionate about passion. Passion.
Exactly. I like passionate. Yes, but my purpose here, and this is something that's been reaffirmed to me very recently in a very, very deep and clear way of like, I am here to upheal and upheave all cycles of abuse. Period. I'm here to end, and it starts in every home, and that starts in every home, which homes us. So the body, like it starts on an individual basis. And I believe it's possible. I believe we can end all cycles of abuse. I think it's completely, I don't think I can do it alone, but I think
we have to do it collectively for sure.
Yes. But I'm here to serve the collective. And I know that that's my purpose. My mission is to connect with love as a conduit of the divine. And so that's this, like, that is us connecting and hearing you and really hearing you and listening and seeing you and acknowledging you and being seen and allowing myself to be seen. And then when the moment comes and something is I'm called to say something or share something, I do that, and that's the enlightenment or the wisdom or the whatever, the message that I've received that I can further share. And I'm there to share it so that I can also receive. It's about actual connection, And so, yeah, it's like, I'm an artist. I like to paint and all that stuff, but like painting, this is a Dali quote, which was one of my favorites of his. Painting is an infinitely minute part of my personality. And I feel like that is so true. Like that this is a painting in my sister's like guest room from high school, and like, yeah, but like I'm a way more than just that.
And how sweet that she has a painting of
Right?
high school framed in her guest room. Like, love that.
I got art like all over her house.
I'm the same way. Like I have, so that's mine. Those two are mine. But like that, the mural is my great aunt, and then my brother does stuff. So I have like a dedicated wall to him. Those are all his collages. That's one of mine too. But then I have like, even around here, because I had come up from a family of artists too, but it's like, I love that we can all kind of like support one another, and that your sister has you there, and I have my brother's stuff and my mom's stuff, and I love that.
Yes.
And artists, and Anna Maria, she's really talented too. Have you connected with Anna Maria?
Yes, and she's amazing. Anna Maria, you're amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing. Like her poetry, oh my gosh, like mind blowing. Her poetry.
Yes, I want to see and hear more. And I've been enjoying the messages of like the video posts that everyone in this chat has been putting out video posts basically, and it makes me.
And I've actually most of the people on here I've either met or I've had video. So I have to tell everyone. I don't. Katie J, is it okay if I tell everyone that you and I finally were able to have a chat? I finally saw. I know. A video chat. I know. A video chat. Everybody. It happened. Miracles can happen. Dreams do come true. Yeah, and he and I spoke for like a good almost an hour, I think. And I've spoken to Brittany and Anna Maria, and then Jairus and we've been on lives, and Janike, we were on something, and then Mahita. Okay, she's one that I haven't gotten a chance to Zoom with or anything. But yeah. I'm really intentional about getting to know people in our community, and so I'm gonna have to reach out to Mahita and be like, all right, girl, let's get on a Zoom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So much to share and offer.
Oh my God, Anna Maria, no, everybody's. Oh, I'm sorry I called you out, but I mean it was just.
I'm not jealous. I'm just happy that he made himself known to you, and
yes,
chat. That's amazing.
I know. And I think he actually also talked to Nancy for her birthday. He gave her a little video chat too for her birthday. So yeah, he was in a very generous mood this week.
Deliciously, deliciously elegant.
Yes. Oh, and then Usama. Okay, yeah, I'll have to remember who I haven't spoken to. So far it's Usama and Mahita. Those are the two. I got to remember those two to reach out and get Zoom.
Yes, I want to have a video chat with Mahita too, and you'll love talking to Usama.
Okay.
Got all kinds of wisdom, and just wait for the Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode references.
Oh yeah, he's obsessed with that show.
Specific, but always with purpose, and I really appreciate that. And I think it was Brittany earlier that said that she was having her sister watch also, which is really cool.
Yeah, her sister said that she just Brittany, I got the notification today. I'm pretty sure it was Alyssa. I think her younger sister's Alyssa. And Alyssa just signed up for to have a conversation with me on the channel. I don't know when, but I'm almost positive I got the notification. I'm pretty sure it's her sister.
Wonderful. And I think Jairus said that, like really early on, I'm going to bother trying to scroll back, but I think he said that his children want to have a conversation with you too.
Oh, yes. I think I saw something in there. Yeah, just let me know and I'll send you my link. That way we can set it up. Yeah, I'm excited because I have a couple kids lined up for the next week. So I have Simon Parsons' son, which I'm really excited about. And then I
love that. Like, I just think that that's such a great thing to do. Like, that is so much fun. You know what would be fun is if we could get together like at some point once you do like enough of the kids and have them on like as a group thing. I would help facilitate like an art activity if you wanted. That could be
because there are actually quite a few of them that are really artistic. Like you saw Paisley did a little rock the boat thing, and then Ariel, she paints too, and she does clay figures, and then Liam Simon's son, who's coming on Monday, I know he does origami figures, and then there's a couple other. Oh, then Natasha, who this is gonna be a third conversation with her. She specifically said, "Can I talk to you about my drawings?" And she's 12 out in California. I said, "Absolutely." Jason draws too, who's up in Brooklyn. There's a lot of.
This is really good. I need to share with you then that I actually do art lessons. I do something called Brazen Academy.
Okay.
And I teach meditation, ideation, creation process. It's in line with like Montessori and those kinds of things. And I took a step back from it just after all of the parents were like zoomed out. But I've been wanting to get back into it again. And so this would be really interesting to see like, what their specific like desires are to learn for art, because I've done, and it's not just for kids. I actually do like workshops and classes for adults also, but the kids, like I love kids so much.
I'm thinking since there is a large group of them, because I just remember too the two sisters in Singapore, they didn't want it filmed, which was fine. The second conversation we've had was just us drawing. I did take a screenshot, but they just wanted to Zoom with me and draw. Like
that's amazing.
So I did that with them. But yeah, I'm wondering if I break it up in age groups, like the younger ones, and we have one with them with Zoom one, and then one with maybe a couple of the older kids. And that would be a great group Zoom to have, because that's what I want to do with these kids. Because what's happening is I'm building relationships with them, where some of them I've taken offline. Like I said, some of them I'm having multiple conversations, so I'm getting to know them better. So I know that at some point I do want to have some like peer groups or do something to where they get to know each other and just make it like this rock the boat community of kids. So yeah, let's talk about that, because I do already have a good group.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. And that'll be good incentive for me to kind of think more about, or really just like take action steps about getting classes back up, because I took a step away from it, but I really have been thinking like from a business perspective too, wanting to get back into like a recurring service. I kind of stopped doing services for a little while because I was taking all these painting commissions. But I'm trying to find balance. That's my 2021 intention, by the way. My one word intention is balance. So yeah, just like from a business model perspective, like having that as my service was really great, and I want to kind of get back into that. So that's cool. And then like in terms of like rock the boat and everything, I would like to just be able to like be present and help facilitate something like that, so that your kids could experience that. It just kind of like sparked a little bit.
I absolutely love the idea. Like I think it's brilliant, because like I said, I want to like collaborate with other people. I want to, I've already been talking to folks that are writing children's books. Like I would love a way to kind of incorporate their books into the channel. I am talking to someone who does cybersecurity, but she does it in a way where it's great to educate kids and parents, because here I'm putting them on social media. I still want them to remain safe and be smart about being online. And so she was talking about that, because she does a lot of fun videos. And so, yeah, there's so much potential, because these kids, like, I mean, they're our future, so we gotta freaking pay attention to them and do Yeah, exactly. So I'm all for it. I'm all about collaborating and teamwork. This is not just just a me thing. This is for our kids. So whatever is going to benefit them, I'm all in for sure.
And that makes me really happy to hear. Actually, I'm posting a link in the chat right now. I actually have a children's book that I wrote and illustrated in 2014. And it's called Where Do Things Go When They Die? And it tells the story of actually when my grandfather passed away, he passed away in my arms. So I've seen.
Oh,
I mean, I know it's intense, but it's the truth, and it was actually very. It was like a really amazing experience, actually. Like to see like a life transition in that way, and like
wow.
I knew that his soul like existed still and exists still. But you know, I was a senior in high school when that happened. And so it was kind of like I wasn't alone or anything. It wasn't scary. We knew it was going to happen, and it was just like the natural process. He lived a long life, you know, and it was okay. But it just started this experience of like kids need to know about this. Like we need to talk about this. Why do we not talk about this? You know, my mom was a bereavement counselor, and that was her job, was like to work with families.
Wow.
So it was like not a foreign concept to me, but I realized that like she would come home from work and be like, this kid at work today literally was like, his dad died, and was like, what's a funeral? Like they had the funeral without him and didn't tell him, and like all this stuff. And it's like, damn, like,
well, I don't know what it is. I'm finding that we're like, we don't want our kids to feel like, we don't want them to be scared. We don't want them to feel sad. We don't want that. And I'm like, no, they need to know how that feels. Like it's really important. And then, you know, obviously, and then we're also medicating the kids a lot more too. So then they're naturally becoming numb because of this medication, but our kids don't know how to feel like. And so even the other day, my daughter and I, we were talking about how we were just talking about childhood traumas and how, you know, it really does affect people, and it's important to talk about things. And so I was talking about my ex-husband, how he really doesn't talk about all the stuff that he's been through. He's been through a lot. Like at age 16, his mother died of colon cancer at age 41. But he took care of her. So not only did he help take care of her and like was there when, you know, at 16, but when she passed away, unfortunately, his dad just couldn't handle it because they were sweethearts, like since they were 18. Like they were madly in love. Like that was his wife was his life, and he couldn't handle it. So he left my ex to basically fend for himself his junior and senior year of high school. So he pretty much, so when my daughter and I were talking about it, I sat there and I said, Amelia, you're 16 years old. I want you to imagine it right now. Imagine your dad and I are still together. Imagine that I pass away and your dad is so upset that he has to like move into the city or whatever and leaves you in that house by yourself your junior and senior year. You have to cook for yourself. You have to make sure that I'm like, just picture that. I'm like, how would you feel?
Amazing to me because this is so similar to my dad's experience. Like my dad, when he was 15, his mom, it was kind of like a little bit different, but his mom left, and then she got sick and he went to take care of her, and then she died, and then my grandfather couldn't handle it and kicked my dad out, and he was to fend for himself. So it's like hearing you say this, I'm just like, wow, like
but my ex, he doesn't really like, he, you know, doesn't talk about those things. And then he couldn't, there was like even more stuff there, but I wanted my daughter in that moment to be like, I want you to imagine. It's just so she also realizes how blessed she is that she has both parents and all of those things. And she's like, no. And she sat in that moment. And a lot of people could be like, wow, really, Raquel, you're going to like, that's morbid. You're telling, no, I want my daughter
that's
to feel things like empathy and understand that like people go through shit and it sucks. And I wanted her in that moment to feel it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like, that's how we teach emotional intelligence. And that's how we teach empathy, like to sit and really feel what it would feel like to be going through something that is difficult. And then the insight that comes from that. And I'm sure she had plenty of insights in realizing like, wow, I'm so like fortunate in my position, but I can imagine what that would feel like. That makes me want to be more compassionate of a person. Yeah. Like that's an important lesson. So I think that's really a great
that my kids have been asking more and more about death and keep saying that I don't know what happens after. And I encourage them to imagine what would. Interesting for them to have that imagination of like what it is like after death.
Yes, and that's what the book talks all about. And it's actually, it goes through the story of a little girl, Cecilia, who's like my little sister's middle name is Cecilia. And so it's kind of like from both of our perspective, but like with her as the character. And she loses the goldfish. It starts with she comes home from school, the goldfish is sick, and she's having this last day with her goldfish. And so they do all of the things they wanted to do. And it tells a story like this is what happened with my grandfather. We did all of the things we wanted to do. I read him Where the Sidewalk Ends. We had like
I love that book.
Takeout, and like, you know, we all sat around and like talked, and we read
poetry. Let the goldfish stay up all night, not have to go to bed by 8 o'clock.
Exactly. It starts and then he dies, and then he's gone, and then she's upset, and the mom comes in and it's like, you know, I like to talk about things when I'm upset. Tell me, like, what's bothering you most about all of this? And, you know, I thought for a second, I couldn't resist. And I had to ask, like, where do things go when they die? And then my mom, or the mom, like, tells this story of like, well, no one really knows for certain. We all have a different way to express hurt. And a lot of people have a lot of different ways of explaining it. You know, some people believe that we stay in the ground, and some people believe we go up high in the sky. And some people believe we come back as a clover or as a dove. And some people, you know, like all of these different stories. That it's got like a picture of Albert Einstein and the Buddha and Gandhi and like and, you know, a rabbi and like all of these things around the world. And it's like, that's how I am like, that's the thing, is like, we don't have to tell everyone this is what's the truth and this is what's right. And like, just the idea of imagining like what could happen or what would happen is beautiful, because it allows them to ask the questions themselves and not just kind of be like, you know, this is the answer. And even then, like, I remember being 3 and asking my mom, or she told me like that when people die or when animals die, like they go to heaven, and that everyone that I loved was in heaven. And I was just like, and then they're born again. And she was like,
you already believe in a reincarnation.
I did. I really did. And so, yeah, like that's been my perspective for a long time. So, but I also wouldn't assert it and say like, this is absolute truth, because I have no way of knowing that, you know? So, yes, always be real with kids, because,
oh my Pete, I get yelled at, but always real.
Peaks and valleys, baby.
Yeah.
Peaks and valleys. And Mahita, this is like, I like that you shared this, that you're practicing on your art and your YouTube channel, so separate from the death dialogue. Like,
yeah, Mahita, what's your YouTube channel so I can
please put it in the chat, and we'll put it on.
Yeah, so we can subscribe.
After imagining a few options, they both said they want to be humans again. And
in the same family. Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
That is
Anna Maria, you're doing something right. That they come back to the same family.
So
that's a proud parent moment right there. Like hashtag proud parent moment.
Absolutely. Seriously. Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is like, there's a lot that we can do. But yeah, I'm just like, let's not give up. It's going to be difficult, and it is hard, and you know, it's work to try to make this world a better place, but in the end it'll be worth it. So yeah, if we can just keep trying.
And I always think too, it can be really overwhelming, and then it can get frustrating.
Oh yeah.
But I try to remind myself and others that like my purpose says, like, and I say it's separate, it is separate from me, but like like my purpose told me that, you know, we start in each and every home, starting in the home which homes us, and that's our bodies. So like, if we ever feel like too overwhelmed and are like, oh, we're gonna do it, then that means that we can turn inward and like take a little bit better care of myself and ourselves. And that is everything that we can do in that moment. And it actually makes a huge impact.
Yeah.
Because stops us from projecting fears or desires or blame or anything onto other people. It makes us open enough to be able to just like be vulnerable with ourselves. And like my favorite thing this year has been literally just like, yeah, like holding my face like this. I swear it feels like our bodies, like, are physiologically, we don't know the difference between someone else like hugging.
Oh, really? So like if I sit here, like it's not, yeah, I guess.
I like doing the crisscross because it feels like a little less like, you know, like the crisscross kind of feels.
I actually, when I lay in bed, I do tend to kind of like caress hug myself in a way, because I haven't really been able to hug or have any kind of like any intimacy or anything, because I'll be honest here, I'm single. My kids don't live with it. Even if they did, my daughter's not gonna, she's 16, she's not gonna like cuddle with me or hug me. And I don't go out, like, so I really like the human touch. So every now and then I catch myself just laying there like doing one of these. And affection's not one of my love languages, so you know that you know it's bad if I'm like giving myself a hug.
We all need it. Michael wants to know if he. Oh wait, perfect. MG Art is.
Oh, I'm gonna check it out at this moment. And then, okay, Michael P. He's such a little smart ass. He goes, "I love running my hands through my hair."
If you don't know, Michael is. You can tell by his picture.
Yeah, he's bald.
Wonderful. Yes,
so, what is it? MG Art. There we go. MG Art.
Gibson MG. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh wow! Look at her.
I am. Let's see.
Oh my God, Mahita, you're extremely talented.
I'm like one step behind you, but I'm sure I'm gonna have
465 views from 2 days ago with one of her anime. She does anime characters.
This is awesome.
See, like, look at what I love this, because in this moment I just learned something totally new about her, and I have a whole, not that I didn't have any respect, but I love when you have like a whole new level of respect for someone. A whole new level of respect for Mahita.
All right, wait, I'm going to share it to the screen so everyone can see.
Yeah. This is awesome. Okay, I subscribed. Now you have 7 videos, but I don't know how many subscribers you have.
And it's Sailor Moon, and Sailor Moon is the best.
Oh, you just shared it? Okay, yeah.
Beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful.
Yay! Everyone subscribe to her channel and subscribe to mine too.
Yes. You know what? That's actually, let's end it there. Let's end it there. Especially if my siblings are home and I want to spend.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard, and I know you're at your sister's and and everything. So we want you to obviously be with your family. And thank you so much. That was very cathartic for me.
It's cheaper than therapy, ain't it?
I'm going to be on with Carl and Michael tomorrow, so that's going to be another like
therapy. No.
Yeah, so it's going to be a week of therapy because I'm live again on Thursday night with Michael, Jen, and Jairus, and then Friday it's just me and Michael I'm like his guest for. So yeah, Michael and I are going to be so sick of each other by the end of this week.
I love it. That's wonderful. It's good to have you get sick of.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everybody that was tuning in and still on. I love you all. Usama. Yeah. Okay. I'm reaching out to Usama Mahita right as soon as I hang up.
Wonderful. And yeah, everyone who's still with us, go subscribe to Mahita's channel, subscribe to Rock the Boat and Raquel's channel, and subscribe to my channel at CDKX on YouTube. Yes. And you guys are
subscribed to yours, Karina, a couple days ago, actually.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. And Mahita's working on a long form video, so yay! Ooh. Yes, everyone connect with everyone that was in the chat.
With Brittany. Okay,
perfect. Every single person that came through here. all amazing people. So thank you. And yeah, let's talk again soon.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your night, and we have each other's phone number, so
yeah. So we'll text and
we're
stuff.
besties now.
But yeah, but perfect. All right. Everyone, well.